You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, we're discussing the neuroscience of proving yourself and why it never feels like enough. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. I'm so happy that you are here today because we are continuing our January theme, identity, worth, and new beginnings. And today's conversation is one that I know will resonate deeply with so many of you because today we're talking about the neuroscience of proving yourself. Why so many high-achieving women feel like they're constantly chasing the next accomplishment. Why success rarely brings the relief we think it will. And why, even after hitting big goals, it somehow still never feels like enough. Now, if you have ever caught yourself thinking, once I hit the next level, then I'll feel secure. Or I just need one more win. Or I can't relax yet. This episode is for you. And I want to be really clear from the start. This is not a motivation problem. It is not a discipline problem. And it's not because you're ungrateful or broken. And I used to think this, I have a really good life. Why should I want or think that there's more out there? I should just be grateful. We should on ourselves so much. That is one thing that we need to change this year. It is not about any of that. This is about conditioning, neuroscience, and nervous system wiring. And once you understand what's actually happening in your brain and your body, you can begin to change your relationship with ambition without losing your drive or your edge or your success. So let's start with the proving loop. Most of us are socialized to earn our worth. And now, what I mean by that is that from a very young age, often without anyone really intending harm, we learned that approval followed performance. Praise after achievement, attention after success, validation after being helpful, accomplished, impressive, or, dare I say, good. I may or may not also be biased to think that this is especially true if you're an oldest daughter. So somewhere along the way, our brains have made it very logical connection. If I perform well, I belong. If I prove myself, I'm safe. Oh my gosh, as I was saying that, I almost had a flashback to math class of like, if A is true, then B is, I don't know, what was that? Logic? Math? I don't know. I was a communications English major. Anyways, this begins the foundation of what I call the proving loop. And it sounds like, let me just get this done. Or once they see how capable I am, then ... Or I'll rest after this. Or I can't slow down now. Here's the thing. The proving loop never actually ends because proving is externally referenced and the brain does not experience external approval as permanent safety. And I mean, just think about it. Someone can give you a compliment and you might discount it with something like, oh, you're just saying that. You're just saying that to be nice. Think about how often we discount the opportunity to receive a nice compliment. So the moment one goal is achieved, the brain immediately scans for the next one, not because you're ungrateful, but because your nervous system is still searching for certainty. Now, let's talk about why this belief, if I perform well, I belong, is so powerful. Because this didn't just come out of nowhere. From an evolutionary standpoint, the human brain is obsessed with belonging. We always want to be part of the tribe. Thousands of years ago, belonging to the tribe wasn't emotional. It was survival. So if you belonged to the group, you were protected. And if you were rejected or cast out, you weren't just uncomfortable. You were in danger. No tribe meant no shelter. No tribe meant no shared food. No tribe meant exposure to predators, the elements, real physical threat, possibly being killed by the saber-toothed tiger. But now we just worry about what the freaking Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn mob might think, right? But in all seriousness, the brain learned something very quickly. Do what keeps you included. So be useful, be valuable, be impressive. Don't disrupt the group. Don't go out alone. because going off on your own, that's how you got eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. So when your nervous system today links performance with safety, it's not weakness, it's not drama. It's ancient intelligence doing exactly what the brain was designed to do. The problem is, your brain evolved for a world that no longer exists. So today, missing a goal does not equal exile. Rest does not equal danger. Slowing down does not equal death. And yet, your nervous system still reacts as if it does. So when approval feels uncertain, when feedback is delayed, when you're not actively proving your value, your body interprets that as a threat, not consciously, physiologically. And let's be honest, we don't even have to go as far back as ancient times, right? A lot of these beliefs were then handed down generation after generation after generation and landed in our parents' laps. And they so kindly have passed it on to us. But we don't have to keep carrying that baggage. It can stop here. Before we do that, though, I want us to talk a little bit about why it never feels like enough. And think about this. So often I hear women talking about how they're not smart enough or not rich enough or we're not thin enough, whatever your flavor of that story is. And then let's layer in some neuroscience here. Your brain's primary job is not happiness, it's survival. And when your worth has been wired to achievement, your brain learns achievement equals safety. So yes, every win gives you a dopamine hit, a moment of relief, maybe a brief exhale. But dopamine is a motivational chemical. Its job is to say, go again, which is why you hit a goal and immediately raise the bar. You accomplish something big and may feel flat. You achieve what you wanted and your brain says, okay, what's next? This isn't because you're broken. It's because your identity is still anchored in the proving and not being. And your nervous system never receives the signal, we're safe now, we can rest, or simply, it's okay to tell yourself that you did a great job. So the body stays in this subtle fight or flight, always scanning, always preparing, always doing. And we just keep moving the goalposts. This is where I see so many high-performing women get stuck. You move the goalpost, you don't celebrate, you renegotiate, and it sounds like, well, yes, but, ... Or, well, that doesn't really count. Or anyone could have done that. Next quarter will really be the real test. From a cognitive behavioral perspective, this is discounting the positive. Your brain is trained to invalidate completion because completion feels unsafe. Why? Because if you stop proving, if you stop striving, if you stop performing, your nervous system fears, but what if I disappear? What if I lose relevance? What if I'm not needed? And I just had this come up in one of my own journaling sessions. The idea of I won't be significant. That was my flavor on that particular day. And I want to just take a moment to be honest with a story of how this plays out in real life, because the truth is I can come here every single freaking week and talk to you, but until you do the work, until you experience it, you'll just keep learning. Learning is great, but I want you to be making changes in your life. So my goal this year is to give you more examples and stories of what it means, what it could look like for you on any given Tuesday, what your flavor would be, right? In this instance, I don't even recall the full journaling session. And let me just take a moment to pause, because when I say journaling session, literally, I mean, I have a piece of paper, I have a pen. There's nothing fancy about it. I just sit down and I start writing. It doesn't make any sense most of the time. I just write whatever's coming out of this brain of mine, put it on paper so that I can see it. So when I'm asking you to do a journaling session, it's not for any set extended period of time. It is to just simply write down what's in your brain, 1 page, 2 pages maybe, and just get it out. So the important part of this is that the idea of me not feeling significant or being significant was important because it allowed me to recognize that unconsciously I had been tying this idea that there is significance in me being with Medtronic. So I could never leave the tribe, right? I could never leave Medtronic because then I would no longer belong. I would no longer be significant. And then I might die. Maybe I didn't really think I was going to die if I left Medtronic, but you can see what I'm saying here, right? There's been this thread that there's this significance that's tied to being an employee of Medtronic. And so why would I leave when that's where my brain thinks I belong? And it sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud, but that's the importance of doing the journaling. You have to be able to see it so that you can make the changes, because until you see it, it just keeps running subconsciously in the background. That's where a lot of our life choices and our life experiences lie. It's subconsciously. We have 70,000 thoughts a day. How do you possibly know what they all are? The ones running the show are the ones that you have to be aware of. So when I talk about identity this month, this is exactly it. If I think that my significance is tied to Medtronic, that is my identity, allowing me to see that and call it out and unraveling that tie allows me to think about other possibilities. What could a new identity look like, right? So where can you find some of these truths to be true for you? You need to take the time to see it, because right now, instead of internal approval, you just default to constant forward motion. For a lot of us, that is so much easier to just keep going, right? Again, busy badge of honor. The tribe says that's what's important. I am asking you to do something that is a little bit different. And I want you to think about what internal approval would look like for you, because this is how ambition becomes energizing instead of exhausting. Part that is often missing for so many women is the idea of internal permission. And it's something that many of us were never taught. External success does not automatically translate into internal permission. No one ever taught you to say, this is enough for today. I'm allowed to feel satisfied. I don't need to earn rest. So your brain keeps waiting for permission from the boss, the partner. Maybe it's a metric, right? Our numbers, man. Whether it's a number on a scale, it's a number on a test, it's a number of your AOP. We are so tied to metrics and worth, or a milestone. We're changing all of that. Your nervous system will not settle until permission comes from inside you. And it isn't just a mindset slogan. This is a physiological truth. Safety is not created through more proof. Safety is created through self-trust. And this is why January matters so much. January isn't about becoming someone else. It's about consciously choosing who you are becoming. And specifically, are you becoming a woman who proves or a woman who trusts? Because when identity shifts, behavior follows. A woman rooted in proving might ask, how do I show them? How do I earn it? What else do I need to do? But a woman rooted in worth, knowing that you are worthy just because, well, she asks, what feels aligned? What supports my energy today? What actually matters now? Same ambition, different nervous system. And here's the deeper truth. This work isn't just personal, it's generational. For generations, especially for women, belonging was conditional. Be helpful, be accomplished, be agreeable, be needed. Now we're evolving beyond survival-based belonging. You are teaching your nervous system something new. I belong because I exist. I am safe without overperforming. Worth does not require exhaustion. This is not small work. That is evolution. And it's exactly why I use my empowered rhythm method with my clients, not to slow anyone down, but to stabilize your foundation so that growth doesn't cost you your nervous system. So you can continue to rise in your life, to be successful, and to keep going with the ambition, but to not burn yourself out. So we work on 4 pillars: resilient mindset, identifying the proving patterns, cognitive distortions, and these beliefs that you've just taken on through the years that drive your behavior. We look at inner energy, so it's regulating the nervous system, so success doesn't require overdrive. We also look at success strategy, which is aligning your goals with capacity, not pressure. And then empowered self-trust. And this is where internal permission lives. This is where worth becomes internal. So the goal isn't less success. The goal is success that finally feels like yours, so that your life feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. And let me give you something to work on this week. Ask yourself, where am I still trying to prove something that no longer needs proving? What achievement Am I refusing to let count? What would internal approval sound like if I practiced it on purpose? And before you move to the next goal, pause and say out loud if you can, this matters. I matter. This counts, and I'm allowed to feel complete here. That could even just be something that you remind yourself in any given moment, right? It doesn't even have to be all 4 sentences. This matters. I matter. This counts. I'm allowed to feel complete here. Pick one. Use it throughout the day to train your brain and to remember that you do matter. The pause is not indulgent. It's called regulation. Okay, friends, I would love to ask you a huge favor. If you could please take a moment and share this with one friend. I know you know someone who can benefit. It could make all of the difference. That's what I have for you today. We'll meet back next week. But for now, until then, lead yourself with intention because it's your time. Make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.